Now let's look at reports. I've already shown you this. What you see here is the web version of the report. And the idea of the web report is to make it easy. You select one or more machines. You select a time interval by selecting start and end time. For example, let's make a report for September like this and click generate report. Let's also select shifts. But we still have not very good values. So let's look at the shifts. I forgot to, and this is important to see that if you don't have shifts in the past, but you have been collecting machine data, you can add the shift afterwards like this. And when the shifts are added, you can go back and regenerate a report like this. A little bit better, at least. In this report, you have the summary, 43% runtime, and you can also see details, how much machine been running and what other time has been spent on the machine. In this report, you can show some more information. Let's scroll up, and below the report button, you have some additional options, and we're going to look at the checkboxes here. The checkbox for stop count and mean length. If I check that one, I get two more columns in the view here. So stop count is how many times each stop have occurred, meaning we see we have 6.2% time spent on missing material, which equals 21 minutes and 40 seconds. But we can also see it happened 31 times with an average length of 41 seconds. So you can see not only if it takes a lot of time, but if it happens many times or a few times. This pie chart here shows the machine runtime utilization. By default, that is when the machine is running. But it might be other stop codes you want to include. For example, setup might be something you want to include in this pie chart. And you can do it here by checking setup to be included as a running stop code. And when you check that, you see we increase from 43 to 48%. So we're summarizing that stop code. And the last feature here is to exclude. When you exclude a stop code, it's like you create a gap in the shift schedule. So for example, if we look at today, and we see we have, let's zoom in. So we have here time where the machine has been standing still. If you don't want to include that in your report, you can take the shift and create a new shift like this and choose the same shift group. So we have two morning shifts on the same morning and a gap. And when there's a gap, the data here below won't be included in the report. And you can do this manually, as I just did now. But if you have some special stop codes, you can enter them and they will have the same effect, just as creating a gap in the shifts. And you get that effect by checking the stop codes here in exclude. And for example, machine closed could be a reason to exclude the stop code. To exclude a stop code, you use that to have flexible shifts, meaning you have more or less fixed schedule, but if you want to make small changes to it, using excluded stop codes could be an option. The machine operators can use a stop code whenever this is relevant, and it only affects the reports if you choose to apply it here, to check the boxes. If you don't check them, this will affect otherwise. Now let's see, you didn't see any change here, so let's choose, okay, let's choose this stop code 1 as a stop. You see now you get much improved value. If it's relevant, depends if you choose the right stop code. But if we remove the checkbox, stop is still dragging down the overall value. This is the easiest report to use, but let's look in the classical report tool we have here as well. So I'm going to zoom out to September, and I want to create a report for, I pick the first 3 machines, let's pick all, and for the month, the last 4 weeks. So I can make a selection like this and go to the report tab, but then I can adjust here. For example, I want it not to start on the 1st of September, but I want to start on Monday the 4th. I increase that one, and the last day of the month is actually, I include October, but it's in the future. I can adjust which machines to include, what shifts to include, and also this shift, breaking shift for night shifts that go past midnight. Once I've reviewed all options, I also want to see time split. I want to group this report week by week, meaning we'll get a report how the machine is doing on a week by week basis. So we'll get 4 weeks in this report. You can also choose days to see how it goes day by day, month by month, or year by year. So I click Create Report. And now it's chewing through all the data, processing it. And once it's done, we'll get to the next view where we can do layout changes. So here we have the results, and let me just switch here to a nicer view. So what we see here, for one machine, let's look at the only runtime like this. So we have each machine listed here individually, and we have columns, one column for each week. And what's okay, we got more and more week here. That's important to know. Depending on what language you use, it will behave differently depending on when the week starts and stops. For example, in Swedish and Danish, Monday is the first day of the week, but in English, Sunday is the first day of the week. Anyway, so this, you have an overview of how each machine has been going week by week, and you also see the summary for all machines in the report. We can go into detail and say what you see here is the runtime of the machine, but we might want to see other stop codes. So on the left panel, we have status codes. That's the same as stop codes. I can click that one and see running is checked, but let's choose missing material instead. Now you get a report about missing material only, how that's been affecting other machines. And if you check several stop codes, you can have the scroll bar on the top. You can scroll through the different stop codes and see them. But let's say we want to see all this at once. So we have this status stop codes here on the page group. But if I drag it down to the rows group instead and drop it there, now we have the stop codes as additional rows. So we have machine and all the stop codes. Now let's say we want to only focus on the stop code and see how it distributes among the machines. So I will switch places on the machine and stop code rows by dragging and dropping one on the other. So now you have first the stop code, and then as a sub row you have each individual machine. And you can do this with the machines. You have stop codes, we have weeks, time intervals, and we also have shifts. So let's show shifts here. We're showing total right now, but let's introduce morning and afternoon shifts instead. So, and let's add running. So now you can see how each machine has been running or have other problems by week and by shift. It takes some time to get used to this, but I wanted to show you today what's possible. And if you realize this is something I want, then get in contact and I'll show you a quick introduction in more detail how to work with the panel. What's good to know is that if whatever changes I made now, I can change the title here and click save, which means it's available here for use next time I create a report. So this way you can use, for example, looking at the counter value only, or go back to the one we just created. The table you see now, you can print on the menu here above, and you can also export the data to Excel. And when you export it to Excel, you get the values in the Excel sheet, so you can easily use those numbers in other reports or tools that you're using. Yeah, so that's the report tools in MUR-Shift and reports, and you can use these to create these interval reports week by week, day by day, or month by month. These are the most usual cases.